Episode 69 of the Too Thicc Pod, live, your home for all things sports, cards, and levity. I'm Jeremy, joined as always by Manny.
What's up, Too Thicc fam? And last live, you said every episode had a meaning, and today you had 69, and you have Courtney on today. Is there any meaning behind any of the number you chose today?
It was some low-hanging fruit today, my friend.
Okay.
Low-hanging fruit. And before we kick it over to the highest paid Too Thicc employee, Courtney, I just wanted to give her and myself some serious damn props because we're managing. I think we have 14 things that live in our house that we're responsible for, and being able to manage that while still participate at the hobby at a high level the way that we do. I very rarely say that I'm tired, but I would tell you tonight I am a little tired. So we're gonna knock this thing out. Then we're gonna participate in what the episode was titled and get a good night of sleep.
Jesus. Well, welcome, Courtney, to the live. This week we went to the Ludex Skyline show. And we've been sitting on the sidelines watching Courtney go to all these big shows. We were like, you know what? It's tag us in. We're going this time. So we have some fun stories to tell because this show was amazing.
I had a blast. It was so much fun going with you guys. You know, going to the other big shows is great because I get to see a lot of people that, you know, I don't get to see every day. And it's great hanging out with our hobby friends. But you guys are like my hobby family. And it was great going to a local show. It was like awesome to be in Chicago because, you know, that's home for us. And just like all the people like wearing their Chicago gear. You know, I'm so used to going to shows out here where everyone's wearing like Michigan and Ohio stuff. And I'm like, it was so nice to be back home, you know?
Yeah, you know, we woke up and we were at the Embassy Suites. We opened up the window and there was the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. And I was like, man, we're here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for the National right now. And I will tell you, after, you know, over the last few weeks watching Courtney gallivant across God's green earth on that Fanatics money, I like had built up a serious amount of like hobby. I needed my hobby release. So it was good to be back in the action, not doing it on Discord, Twitter, and from the computer with a kid hanging off my arm.
Yeah.
I do have to say, you kind of, this is like foreshadowing. You kind of put it in the world that we were going to have a great show. At that morning, you looked out the window and you're like, you know what? We're going to have a great show today. And we did. So
it's so funny because I was so excited to go, but also Friday, I haven't been home, I don't think a weekend this year. I don't think I've spent a weekend at home this year. I've been out every weekend at a different show on vacation. I know it sounds like super fucking bougie, but this year has been such a great year. And so I woke up Friday morning and the kids were off of school because we were having crap weather in Michigan. And I was tired. Everybody got to sleep in, which we never sleep in, but everybody was just like, they slept in. And I knew we weren't leaving until later Friday night. So I was like laying in bed and I told Jeremy, I don't want to go. Like, I almost was like, why don't you and Manny go and I'll stay home? And he was like, no, you're coming. And I'm so glad that he was like, you're coming with us, because Saturday morning when I woke up, I was like, I am ready. I'm so glad that I didn't like not go. I was ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you watched your Instagram stories, Jeremy was ready. He almost had a heart attack, but he was ready to go. He had like 5 nitros, and he meant business. He was like, I'm not leaving this table. So this Ludex show, we get there. Jeremy and Courtney was a mix, but Jeremy set up. So he was on the dealer side. What was cool about this show is I was on the buying side. I was on the other end of the table. We were able to do this because we also had Courtney to help both of us out. Courtney was like helping Jeremy out, and then she'll come and tell me how I'm doing. And it actually helped out a lot, Courtney. So I do want to.
I also ran Mark's
We
booth
did.
for a while.
We did.
I went over and I was Mark from Mark's Card Shop. I put my hat on backwards. I'm like, we're eating. I'm just giving cards away to kids. I'm like, here, free card for you, kid. Free card for you. Who's got a card with a C? Pack for you.
That's funny.
I got beef with kids, but I'm going to save that for later. I'm no longer for the children in the hobby. I want to get them the hell up out of here. But I'll get into that later. I'm serious. But I don't want to say I manifested the good show. You just had to sense it was coming. There was like an extreme amount of FOMO from everybody at home watching everybody go to Atlanta, then Burbank, that when you get something that's within driving distance, you're going to take advantage of it.
And a well-run show.
It's
not just like
well run.
Yeah.
So it's in Rosemont. So we got there from Michigan in like a 4.5-hour drive. You've got everybody from the burbs of Illinois. People came in from Wisconsin and set up. All the dealers are hand selected. It's in a beautiful room, big space, good autographs going on, good bathroom. And then you're within proximity of several like restaurants and stuff like that. Yeah, the show was packed. So at 8 o'clock, 8:30, when we're getting loaded up and I see the amount of traffic and then you got the people sneaking in, I just knew it was going to be game over. This was going to be a good one.
Well, when we first were trying to walk around, Courtney and I, we couldn't even walk around without hitting people's shoulder, left and right.
And this is a well spaced out show too. It's not like I went to a show today in Michigan that was there was no room. You were constantly touching some dude's ass or schlong trying to get by.
Amelia said she said that it smelled like butt. Was her exact. She's like, it smelled like a butt. I'm like, what kind of? My butt smells fine. Like, you need to be. Yeah. She's like, a smelly man butt, Mom. I'm like, okay.
with that's today, to be clear, with a mix of bad weed, like all kind of like.
Well, the entire state of Michigan always smells like bad weed, so that's like a gimme.
Yeah. So anyway, we got set up. We had an end table, which was incredibly nice, but we've never been set up where we had dealers on either side of us in this. So it made for on the dealer side. We definitely got to start doing the deodorant, man. We got to do reckless deodorant. I like that. But because there was a lack of space and one spot was taken up by our child who was grounded, who we finally gave a punishment that I think worked. And he got to sit and read a book while everybody was around him.
I'm telling you, I ground this kid all the time. Bringing him to a card show and making him sit on a chair and read a book and not be able to do card show stuff. He was so miserable. I'm like, do you feel punished? And he goes, this was the worst day of my life. I'm like, okay.
You want to know the best? I'm walking the show and I look over and he looks like he's slumped. He's just like this in the chair. And I was like, is he okay? Did Jeremy knock him out as I was walking around? Someone wake this kid up.
The kid was so excited because he thought, like, in his mind, I know he was thinking, oh, they're going to have me help out. My dad's going to send me to go look for Zions, or like we did.
Like we always do, yeah.
And so like he got there and he's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, your homework. And like the look of defeat just like Caspered out of his body. And then every time he'd get up, no, keep studying. Keep studying. You got this. And then it's like, if you're not doing anything, how slow the time goes. I was like, man, this day's going by fast. I wish it wouldn't end.
He's like, this is the longest day of my life. I'm like, next time we come to the card show, are you going to have all your homework turned in and not like.
Yeah.
Like,
he got up at 3:05. The show ended at 3:05. He's like, do you want me to still go get the stuff? And I'm like, nah, man. He's like, the show's over. I'm like, no, it's not. It goes till 4:30. And he was like, anyway, no, go ahead.
No, the best was when on the way home and it's dark and Steven says something to me and we're joking around and you hear in the front seat, hey, Steven, do your homework. And Courtney looks over. It's like, it's dark. He's like, I don't care. Do your homework.
I know, because on the way in, we laughed and it was bright and sunshine. And like 2 minutes into the car ride, he tried sleeping. I'm like, sleeping isn't going to make your homework get done. Let's go. So anyway, why don't you guys talk about, I'll talk about what it was like on the vendor side, but why don't you guys talk about, what you were seeing walking the show and the vibe and the things that you were hearing?
So
go ahead, Manny. You can start.
So we did a first, like one lap, like half a row, one full row with Courtney, right? and I was a little nervous because the first couple dealers that we had on that side were kind of overpriced. Courtney called them out, and it was amazing. When Courtney said the guy thought Courtney had no idea about cards, and Courtney like schooled this man. And I'm like in the background, like a little son, like she's defending me. But I wanted this so my goal in this card show was to buy. We're going to the Lansing show next weekend. Yes. And last month, I got so many people asking for Detroit teams, but mostly like Michigan or Michigan State cards or alums. So my goal was to go there, buy cheaper end like Michigan State alums, like that are easy to like that won't have a premium there, so they can't sell it. So they're giving me good deals on it to take back to sell. And I learned this from Jeremy because Jeremy does it really well because he has a pipeline from Chicago to the Michigan shows. So I was looking for Detroit Lions, the hype of Detroit Lions. So I saw this Jameson Williams auto, Contenders auto, and it was a vertical one.
No, it was horizontal.
Horizontal. Yep. And it was the guy said 250, and Courtney heard, and Courtney like pushes me aside and says, "Did he just say 250?" And I was like, "He did." So Courtney takes a picture, and she's like, last sold. She stepped up and she's like, last sold for like $70. And you're asking
a horizontal.
Yeah, horizontal.
So he had the horizontal. The vertical sold for $76 like 2 days before the show. And this man had the audacity to go, well, there's one on eBay for $299 right now. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. And I'm like, but he's like, there's one up for auction. I'm like, yeah, it's at $50.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I'll go buy it now. So I'm standing there and he's like, well, the horizontal sells better than the vertical.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm like, he thinks I'm stupid. So I take a step back. I'm like, Manny, we're not buying anything from this table. I totally mommed him. I'm like, we're not buying anything from this table. I'm like, Mommy will buy you this card at home from eBay for like a quarter of this. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, no. I'm like, we're not spending any money here.
It was so funny.
I felt like I was talking. I was like, I was so annoyed. I'm like, this is like the level of just like audacity it takes to like look someone in the face and talk to them like they're stupid.
Yeah, and I don't want to put that one bad like
no, because the rest of the show was wonderful.
The rest of the show was amazing. Everyone had good deals. I bet.
Can I just make a point there too? This show, there was a tremendous amount of ladies there buying, trading, and selling. Not one or two, but several throughout the show. So you fellas, you got to quit assuming that ladies don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And I would almost imagine where a guy has the mindset that he can be lazy and just be like, oh, wrong comp or whatever. I would imagine because guys treat women like shit, not us, but just in general in this space, that when the ladies come, they come prepared and are much sharper than your average 400-pound dude in his sweatpants who hasn't bathed in a couple days and thinks he's going to mansplain to a lady. You know what I mean? So like as the fellas, I would encourage you to not judge a book by its cover. And because one of the best conversations I had that day, and this lady knew her stuff, was basketball, and she was a lady, and she out-talked a lot of the dudes. So anyway, I turn it back over to you. Courtney mommed all over that guy. She laid her woman dong on the table, let this guy know what was up.
It was the best.
Saved Manny some bucks.
It was the best. Like, I was like pumped because I was like, oh yes, Courtney's going to save me some money this time. I'm not going to overpay. And then I blink of an eye, she was gone. And then she came to help you out because there was a lot of people there and you were buying. So you kind of, when you're a dealer, you can explain it more, but when you're a dealer, when it's one person, it's hard to sell and try to buy people's cards at the same time. So Courtney actually assisted with you on that aspect. I'll let you get back into that. And then I could show you guys what I picked up if you guys want later on.
All right.
I think part of it for me was I walked like half a lap with you, like you said. The cards I was looking at, but the thing is I knew that I wasn't gonna be walking around buying. I wanted to go with you, see what you were gonna pick up, maybe scoop up a little content. But I looked over and I saw Jeremy standing there with because we took that end cap spot that I wanted, and it was great because it was like right around the loop where everyone was coming. And he was like 5 people deep, and I'm like, I can't just abandon him to go walk around and look at him, and basically, for all intents and purpose, window shop, because I knew we were going to be heavily buying at our table, so I needed, like, I wasn't going to be buying anything. So it was more just like, again, visiting. I'm like, I've been doing the last 2 weekends visiting. I'm going to go stand behind the table and help him with anything he needed. And Jeremy came up with a brilliant idea for our table that I'm going to let him talk about. It was his brilliant idea, but I ended up manning that the whole show, and it like he can discuss it, but we refilled it like 3 times, and that ended up being a ton of work by itself, but we crushed. So I'm going to let Jeremy talk about that.
So I'm going to go ahead and take the flowers, because I very rarely get the flowers. I'm usually torching things and ruining things. We had a giant stack of cards that were just like, we don't know what the hell to do with these. We love doing the dollar boxes because they provide tremendous value. However, it's just so much work. And the emotional angst that I go through preparing these things.
He gets so stressed out over dollar boxes.
My OCD, like, where I just like make everybody miserable. Like, because if it was my way, I would be like, we have to prepare our dollar boxes now. There has to be $20 cards in
alphabetical order.
Yes. Yes.
So I've never seen anyone get so anxious.
I know that's
like we ended up selling them for like 5 cents. I'm like, why are you getting this upset about these cards that mean nothing? And
I know this is literally a penny card, but we need to put it in a top loader, a mag, one touch, put it in team bag, organize it. And I'm serious. That's the angst that I go through. So we decided we're not doing the dollar boxes anymore. So we started.
That's a good one.
On the nose with that one. That's accurate.
So what we started doing is we started taking cards and sending them off to ComC, which we've been sharing about our process going through that. We've been posting in Discord where there's like a thread where it's like $30 and under, and it's like, hey, here's $70 worth of cards. Just give me $30. So I had this idea. Why don't we just put a case, just put name your price, and just throw stuff in there with the understanding that this is all essentially gravy on top. Quit wasting our time trying to get every single buck out of there. If somebody makes you an offer that seems fair, boom. Now, what I didn't know is Courtney was going to go over there and try to weed out the shysters. You know, because I told people, if you make me a fair offer, I'm going to accept it. But if you're offering me like $4 for everything, not going to happen. So people would come up, be like $100, and I'd give them like 20 Coby White slabs with autos, $20 here, $30 there. And we just kept filling that thing and filling that thing and filling that thing. So moving forward, as long as I have the inventory, there will always be a name your own price box. It keeps people engaged. It grabs people's attention, maybe spend a couple dollars they wouldn't because they can get a deal. And so I liked it. And the Coby White Lot that all of you shit on me for.
Court? I did not shit on you.
Court?
I was going to say, I didn't shit on you.
It was still annoying. And I'm not going to say it wasn't.
I didn't say annoying.
But we definitely made our money back on it. And then some. But it was a lot of work, sir.
Okay, yeah, so we blew it out, right? And so we got home last night, and I get an offer last night, laying in bed, for a Coby White gold that I just threw up there. And I got $900 worth of slabs back in that deal last night. To like, that's the cherry on top. So we were laying in bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm on my phone.
Waking me
trying
up.
to cut deals.
Hey, that Coby Lot. Court. The Coby Lot, Court. I'm like, I'm fucking sleeping, man. I'm sleeping. Yes. Congratulations, the Coby Lot. He did. He crushed it on the Coby Lot. We were all a bunch of haters. I will acknowledge that I was completely wrong. I had like a hair in my mouth. I was completely wrong. I'm going to tell you, like, strictly like 100% on a personal level, watching Jeremy at the booth and just like running the table and being in his element, it is like, he loves this. It is so nice to watch, and I appreciate all the hard work that he puts into it.
Ryan was actually looking to buy a Jordan Love, Jeremy. That's my best friend, by the way. He's a big Packer fan.
I thought Jeremy was your best friend. What the fuck?
Jeremy's.
Wow.
Oh no!
This is uncomfortable.
I feel awkward.
No,
I got you, Ryan. I got you. PSA 10 out of 99. I got you. Daddy went shopping today.
That's funny. No, well, can I say so? The moral of this Coby White story, though, is like even if it's not like a great, I'm not shitting on Coby White, but even if it's not like a tier A player, if you get a good deal, like buy the lot and look what can happen. You know, like don't be scared of the player.
Scared money don't make money.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah, exactly. Don't be afraid of like if it's a good deal, and that's what I'm learning this show. And Jeremy kind of like instilled that into me, and he doesn't know it, but like don't look at the player, look at the price of the card. If you're trying to make some money in cards, right, to get to your person that you want. In the past, I was looking at I need the players that sell, but I'm paying a premium on them. If I could buy like a tier, like a Coby White with like 80% of comps or 70% of comps and easily sell it for 80, why not do that? It's a lot easier. So that's my moral. That's what I've learned from Jeremy with this Coby White lot. Also that he doesn't know how to use PayPal at Traverse City. So that's another concern.
So I think for those listening, I think Manny attempted to make a joke that
no, it wasn't.
So we'll keep it moving. Well, then it was poor.
Yeah,
so we went into this show, and I had two goals. Two goals for the show. One, and this was really good. I was listening to a podcast where a dealer said, when you go to a show, you hate seeing the same inventory over and over. And I quickly realized that the local shows that we check out once in a while and we just never go to, that was one thing that always drove me crazy is when you go to the show, you see the dealers and they have the same cards. You know, there isn't anything new. And I thought, you know, I felt like we did a pretty good job of switching out, but there were some cards that, you know, we were kind of like, I really wanted to maximize my ROI on those, or I was just kind of, you know, maybe a little bit stubborn with them. So I thought today I'm gonna be willing to move more. I'm gonna churn the inventory. So when I go to Lansing next week, you're gonna see a whole new showcase of cards. Second, I felt like as trying to provide guidance to Manny because he put his cards in his booth, and you know, I asked him like the numbers, what do you want to do? He had said, I trust you, which is something that I take very serious and it's very meaningful. So my goal was like, I felt like Manny's just kind of been kind of stuck, and I'm like, I'm going to get him unstuck. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but the first opportunity I'm going to. So the thing that was exciting is Manny was walking the show. Somebody came and expressed interest in one of his cards. And I'm not going to say what the card is, but I knew right away, just based on conversation, the dialogue back and forth, that they wanted that card. And I was able to sell his card, get him some cash. And then I took on some cards also in trade that I felt like I personally would be happy to have. But also I know him liking soccer, that he would get them raw and also have the opportunity to either just flip them and or grade them. So I was really happy to make that happen.
Yeah, I truly appreciate it because I was actually really excited about the deal. I just grabbed the cards. So I'm going to show, because I know Matt is a big soccer guy, so he would appreciate it, and he's on. So you gave me this guy. We don't know who it is, but it's out of 10, right? This was just like a throw-in. Look at what – and then I got cash on top of it. I got a Cody Gapko auto out of 99. This is nasty. What he did at the Netherlands in the World Cup was amazing. Just signed with Liverpool. And also, I'm a big – I think he remembered that I said that I like this guy as a future star. We'll go with it that you did remember. But Julian Alvarez, that is nasty. I was so pumped about these two cards that people like this guy so much that Saul saw Jeremy hand me the cards and was trying to offer me to buy it. And right when I got it in my hands. So thank you, Jeremy.
No, man, I was really happy for you. And I was happy too that you were gone, just taking your time, going through the dollar boxes, talking to people. And, you're very gracious, always trying to look out for stuff that you think that we might be interested in. And I'll let you talk about some of the stuff you bought later. But what really was exciting was early in the show, soccer was moving quite a bit. And we had done a few shows. And not that we do a lot of shows, But I would say soccer for us collectively, the three of us over the last couple months just really hasn't moved at shows. And I guess if you think about it, like Northern Michigan probably isn't a hotbed for soccer. And, you know, we've put together some fire cases where you've got multiple 1-of-1s out of 5, out of 10 golds of big name players thinking like, man, somebody's going to come in here and they're going to have their wet dream and I'm going to just churn inventory and not happen. And so I was able to cut a deal right away where I was able to trade out of a couple cards, trade down, get some money, and then get some cards that were super liquid. So that made me, you know, really, really happy.
I think you're definitely going to see more soccer fans in like the greater Chicagoland area than you are in like the shows we go to in Michigan. I feel like that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. It makes me happy. It makes me happy because looking forward in the Skyline show or like, you know, national or any show we're going to the Chicago, I could buy some soccer knowing that I could probably potentially move it at that show because any Lansing show, or Michigan show, if you're coming to a Michigan show, don't even bring soccer. But if you're going to Chicago, you need to bring some soccer.
So I was like really excited. The video, this is a Futera Mbappe golden goal. 9 out of 9. So that's as Courtney would always put in the posting, that's an eBay 1-of-1. And then like, you know, just like Erling Haaland, it's Leaf, not my favorite, but 25 out of 25. Just to get stuff like that. And so the minute I put those in the showcase, people were jumping all over it, trying to buy them, you know, right away. So really good. The other thing that I was trying to do from a buying perspective was I too was trying to pick up Michigan folks. You know, we've made a commitment to the Avery Shoebox show that we're going to be there on a monthly basis. And so even though Michigan players, Michigan alums, Detroit players have no meaning to me, that like to me, Al Kaline, Miguel Cabrera, Verlander, none of that stuff's cool to me. But I need to learn that, you know, this is where it's going to sell. So the cards I was trying to pick up were a lot of Aiden Hutchinson because in Detroit, he is the second coming of Jesus. He is J.J. Watt and T.J. Watt put together, plus a dash of Superman. And so I was able to scoop up an Aiden Hutchinson out of 10 auto last night. I brought it to a show today. Just going to fast forward a bit. And I was like, hey, you know, you want to go cash card? The guy looked through my box. The first thing he pulled out was the Aiden Hutchinson. So I bought it for like $150. It comps at $250. So I picked up like $100 of value just by knowing where I was going to be, you know, in the coming future. So always be mindful of where you're going.
Oh, yeah. And then also make connections because I do have to say it was your guys' connection. And it's kind of going to sound like I'm riding on your coattail because you guys treated this guy so well. It's Mark's Card Shop that I went to his booth and wiped out all his Detroit players, everything, Michigan State alumni, every Michigan. Ryan knows I cannot stand Michigan, but I actually bought some Michigan players. And he even said, and this is my guy, Michigan State. He's like, do you want Kenneth Walker? Because kids will rip it and get disappointed that they got Kenneth Walker because it doesn't mean anything to them because they're looking for Justin Fields. And I was like, yeah, I want Kenneth Walker. He's like, all right, I'll let you know it's all in the shop and I can put a total for you. And then I could ship you the Kenneth Walker for your next week's show. So I do appreciate you guys. And I do appreciate Mark because without you guys, I wouldn't have met Mark and he's going to help me out. And I told him in advance, if I could get to some Chicago cards before Jeremy or Courtney, I could buy them and send it to him for his shop as well. So he appreciated it.
Court?
I'm sorry. I was just enjoying listening to Manny. I'm going to tell you, the difference between going to like a local show and a big show is that like you get in there and you know what people are looking for already. You're not like wandering around like, hey, are you interested in this? Or, hey, is this something you might want? Like we go there and we know several of the people and what they're looking for and we can have it on hand. Like, hey, I picked this up when I was in Virginia, or hey, I picked this up when I went to Burbank or when I was in Atlanta. And I know that this is something that you collect or this person collects or say, you know, so it makes it more fun. It's more personal when you're home. And back to the Ludex show in general, I gotta say they had Shaw there signing autographs. And that was like so cool. I actually met him years and years ago. He was like at a car dealership signing autographs for a grand opening. So I got a hat signed by him that I gave to my dad. So it was interesting. I'm like, oh, I guess I never pay attention to the autograph things when they're there, but because I'm not like a big like get an autograph person. But it was so cool seeing all the people in line for that. It went out, it like backed out the door. People were very excited. I met this guy at Chris Studios or whatever who makes these amazing like graphic art things of athletes, and then he brought them to get signed. So you just see so many interesting things. And as far as the Ludex show goes, like they do a phenomenal job. It is set up well, it is well run. It is, everything is very organized. They're passing out water. The temperature of the room is great. It's like one of the card shows you go to where it really doesn't smell bad. So it's really nice, and it was comfortable, and so the most fun for me, and this is so stupid, was if you watch our last recap, I talked about opening those Pixar cards, right? The Weiss Schwartz Pixar cards, which I still like, I don't know a lot about. The guy who I bought them from actually agreed to come on Hobby Night School and like teach us more about like the chases and like what are the hits and how because I know like the serial number on the bottom has like a C, a CC, a U, R, 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 PXR, and then Luxo. And like based on that, that's like the value of them. So I'm like, I brought a stack of the ones that were not base, and I'm like going through them. And a man like kind of came up to me and he was like, oh, those are interesting. So I was showing them and I was talking about what I knew of them. And he's like, oh, you should put those out for sale. I priced a bunch of them based on like whichever ones I could actually find comps for on eBay, which there's like very few because it's sort of new. As I was putting them out, I sold every single one of them that I put out like immediately. So that was kind of fun because I'm like, I thinking I ripped this and it was like not really anything. And like nobody'd seen it before. So everyone was really excited about it. And that was fun because I couldn't even keep them in the showcase. As fast as I put them out, people were scooping them up.
Yeah, I would say Ludex does a tremendous job of making a dealer feel welcome. And, this comment right here, I want to go into a little bit. The difference between a show like that and a show like I went to today, I want to circle back. So please remind me. I'm putting this on Manny and Courtney to remind me about this. Okay, Manny, can you do that?
Gotcha.
It's already escaped Manny's brain. He's already thinking about 3D Doritos.
He is now.
Yeah.
So the show's going on. It's nonstop traffic, which is a beautiful thing. Now, of course, there's 57 trade-up challenges going on, which I am okay with. I helped several kids in their trade-up challenge. Like, I took on a $5 card and gave back $25 worth of cards. Or if the card sucks so much ass, I just said, how about you keep it and I'll give you something. That way you can go up. There was a child while I was in the middle of doing a 4-figure deal who routinely interrupted, and Courtney must have asked him nicely to just please, we'll get to you when we're done, and I think she'd given him some free cards, kind of like, hey, just chill. And the cards he had were like of a grading company I've never heard of NFL quarterbacks from the 1980s, like cards that we're not going to be interested in. And he's hell-bent on talking to me. He was so damn rude. I want to know, where is the parent to come and slap the bejesus out of this kid and teach him some respect? He was so rude. Right in the middle of it. And then took the card. It did this. Actually, that's a good card. I don't want to do that. Let's pretend this is your shitty slab. On the glass trying to get my attention. Which, anybody that knows me, I'm wired like an ass where, like, the moment you do that, I'm going the opposite direction. Like, you will never have my attention. So, for the people who allow their kids to behave that way, that is not cool. That is really not cool. You need to discipline your kids. Yes. So, pull up a chair, get your science book. And no, here's the thing. Let me finish. we always help with the trade up challenge, and any kid that's walking by with their parent, like you kind of get a sense that like, well, it doesn't matter if they have money or not, but you want them to feel included. So we're giving out slabs. How much do you think we gave away yesterday? $400, $500, $600 worth of stuff, Courtney?
Oh, at least. Yeah. We always give away hundreds of dollars at every show.
Like we're just opening up like here, and kids are like, oh my God, really? And it's the greatest feeling in the world.
One kid like almost cried. I thought that kid was gonna cry because we like it was the end of the show. We were packing up to leave, and I gave them a stack of cards like this big, slabs, autographs. I'm just like, here you go. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, have it. Like what? And I agree with Jeremy. He before we got on here, he's like, I'm sick of kids and trade up challenges. I'm not. No.
I said I'm sick of kids, not the trade up challenge. I'm sick of kids. And you didn't let me finish. It was supposed to be like a cliffhanger or a tease that engages in the audience to check it out, see what I'm talking about. It's the 14 through 18-year-old who know better or should know better, who are rude, disrespectful, and when it's convenient for them, they're a 9-year-old and they just want a bunch of free stuff, or they feel comfortable being completely disrespectful. I was in the middle of selling a gold Pop One card for like $150. And the one guy's getting ready to hand me this cash, and this little effing turd goes, don't do it. Now, table etiquette, I was always taught you don't interrupt somebody while they're in the middle of doing a deal. And so I'm going to tell you on the other end, I can appreciate his friend looking out for him, even though his friend was an idiot.
And wrong.
And wrong. Yeah, correct. But we're getting ready to do the deal. And he goes, he's ripping you off. He says this right here. He's ripping you off. And I'm like, and so I paused. I'm like, you got to be incorrect. Because it's a Pop One card. I'm the one that bought it. I know what I paid for it.
Yeah, because you said the comp. You were lying about the comp.
Yeah, and so mine was out of 10. He's like, well, this one was out of 50. And I'm like, well, there's a huge difference between a card that's numbered out of 10 and a card that's numbered out of 50. And he's like, oh, well, still too much. And that was it. I shake everybody's hand. I say, how are you? I give the kids this. If it's a teenager or somebody, I want them to win. I'm not going to win or lose on a $25 trade. $5 or $10 is not going to make or break it. That's not why we do this. But damn, man, you're out here trying to be good and do right by people, and you got to put sass? I'd make that kid go outside and pick a switch, and if it doesn't break wind, I'm beating his ass.
Okay, calm down, Adrian Peterson. That's enough.
Hey, did you see what that guy did, that card, what he did against your Bulls a couple days ago? Guys should have took it, that card. He's actually a decent player is what I'm getting at.
Oh, I know. So here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this. I am very, very much like pro kids in the space. I want them to be here. We want them to be here. But it isn't necessarily like that kid. So Jeremy's in the middle of doing a deal, and you have a kid that comes up and
he fuck around be the first one that started with $20 card and ends with nothing. He's without pants and shirt and no money and no card.
Yeah.
So, sorry, but here's the thing. We are huge proponents and advocates for children. You know, we run a huge scavenger hunt at several card shows. I propose doing a trade night actually at the Ludex show for kids specifically, or a trade area, something really geared towards children. I have 4 children of my own that are in this space. So at the end of the day, like, I want children here. Mm-hmm. But what I am going to say is this: if you are bringing your like 7 to 9-year-old children to these shows, you need to be watching them. It is your responsibility. As this is not the kid's fault. That little kid coming up to our table repeatedly and banging on it, that is a lack of supervision. That kid could barely see over our table. Where is his parent? That's my issue. That kid isn't at fault for his shitty behavior. That's his parents being a bad parent. Like, let's be real. We're gonna be like, let's be real. That is like, I would never allow Kaya, who is almost 6 years old, to run around a card show and bang on people's tables, because my children were raised properly. And Steven would never walk up to a deal and tell his friend in the middle of a deal, oh, don't do that. He wouldn't do that because he was raised properly. So these children who have smooth brains and their parents are teaching them proper etiquette and manners and then setting them free on the general public, it's not the kid's fault. It's like being mad at a dog that's not trained, only it's a person. You cannot blame these kids for their behavior. If they don't know, they don't know. Who's teaching them etiquette? Who's teaching them card show etiquette? And I watched that whole thing go down and I didn't say anything. What I should have said was I should have done the mom thing like I did with that man with the shitty comps and been like, you don't have to buy this card, but you, young man, you're in completely disrespectful behavior right now, walking up to a deal that's in the middle of being done.
That's not how it works, Courtney. This is the hobby. I whip a basketball at his ass.
Calm down with this. What are we? No, but what I'm saying is, like, we get mad at these kids for their behavior, but it isn't like who's teaching them the right way to behave.
Yeah, I mean,
who's teaching them the right way to behave. You're mad at kids for acting like kids.
No,
but
so I'm not like the kid. The kid is more of an annoyance. I get that, and I'm not mad at the kid. I am mad at the parents, like, and that's just in general. That's just who I am. Like, raise your damn kids. I kill myself to make my kids chew with their mouth shut and to make sure they act right. I don't want your damn kid acting like a heathen. Just be better, parents.
You know what it is? It's like the people when they're like they open a restaurant and they're like, kids are not allowed at this restaurant. There's invariably some parents who are like, my kids should be allowed everywhere. And my opinion is like, I like restaurants where they don't let children because I have 4 kids at home. And if I get a babysitter and I'm going out to a nice adult restaurant, I don't want to have to hear your kids screaming next to me. And I think that is reasonable. And I don't think that every single instance is a space for children, which is why, like, I just don't. I don't think that every space is for children. And if children are in a space and it is meant for children, you as a dealer, us as a dealer, need to understand that you're going to have to deal with some children that maybe don't behave the way that your children would behave. And it is frustrating. And I totally get your like annoyance at it, but I blame their parents. I don't blame the kids.
No, I blame the one kid. I had problems with
Okay, I know the kid you guys are talking about. That kid was sort of a dick.
No, since the Lamar Jackson kid that tried to rob me out of my card. That one day I had a problem with kids, and that guy, when he comes to I see him all the time. I walk away every time he comes because he's gonna be rich in the hobby, but he's not gonna be rich off me. So, you know exactly.
Remind me to tell you a story when we get offline. That kid we had an experience with today, and I want to share that with you, but it's not for that's not for that. So anyway,
talk about the kids in the hobby. That kid, we all know, and anyone in this area knows that kid because he is a hustler, and I think
no. There's a difference between being a hustler and downright being disrespectful and rude to people and thinking that it's okay because somebody told you that it's okay.
Yep.
The kid I saw today was a complete bag, a teenager. You know what? This is Judge Jeremy, so we're gonna go ahead and try you as an adult. You young man.
I mean, if you're carrying around $100,000 in cards, you're a man.
You're old enough to make big boy financial decisions. You can get big boy consequences. Exactly. But they're smart enough to realize that they're young enough to get away with being rude. And that's not cool.
I'm a sucker for kids.
Go be rude to like the guy who was a dick to you, Courtney. Don't be rude to me because I'm out there stimulating the show. I'm giving people cash. I'm liquidating people.
The kid, they won't be rude to guys like that though, because that guy's a dick. That's the problem. The kids come up to us because they know we're gonna be friendly, and then when we don't just give in, then they get pissy. I think it's the problem.
That is true though, because Jeremy's the nicest guy when he tells people no that he doesn't like the card.
Man, this is the coolest card I ever saw, but it's just not for me.
It's some crap card.
It's a me problem, not a you problem.
It's like he's breaking up with their card.
I know.
I have a fear of commitment.
I just can't commit to this player. It's beautiful. It's not the player. It's me. I can't commit.
I was standing next to him, and I knew it was a card he didn't want. and he was looking at it for like 10 minutes, trying to come up with his mind, like, what am I going to tell this kid? Because I don't want it.
He's like, oh, he's like, I feel like I need to explore other options within the hobby right now, and I just can't settle on one card.
See, Matt knows.
So I'm very critical when we do a show of like, what could we have done better? You know, I'm always like, no matter, we could plan perfectly, and I'd be like, 6 out of 10. We could have done this, this, and this. Yesterday, I think we absolutely knocked it out of the park as a whole. And the one glaring mistake was something that I did, and I'm going to own it. And I never do this, and I don't know why in this instance I did. I was going to move a big card. A guy made an offer, and it was good, and it was really good, and I went for super great, which caused him to pause for a minute, which ultimately led to the deal not getting done. And I knew the moment the words left my mouth, I went into like, I am a piece of shit mode, apologized to the guy. Luckily, he was very gracious and he understood my perspective, but I'm going to own that L. I should have just said yes and closed it. I went for a wee bit more, which I shouldn't have. Oh, I mean, in hindsight, I guess if I would have gotten it, it would have been a great play. But
here's the thing: Jeremy isn't.
No, it was. I went for like a third home run of the game.
Okay. It was like the third.
Here's the thing: he was winning, and he went for the slaughter roll. You know, like you just like eat like the poor sportsman. Like, I'm winning. Now I'm just gonna like.
No. Please retract poor sportsman, because there's nothing rude or poor sportsman.
No,
like
he
about
wasn't.
What I did.
So Jeremy
pulled a Manny.
He wasn't wrong. It was like but I know my husband, and he is like the kindest person. He talks a big game. He's I'm such a gangster. Blah, blah, blah. But he's not. He is a sweetheart. And as this deal is going down,
yes,
exactly.
Yes,
this is exactly what happened. So as this is going down, I'm standing there and I'm like freaking negotiating Coby White cards with like for 8 years with like 6 kids over here, and I'm listening to Jeremy on my left side. I'm listening to him like do this deal. And I hear the guy give the offer, and I'm like, that's solid. He's gonna take this. And then he just like a little more, and I'm like, oh, that was a mistake. And I'm not like a big like negotiator when it comes to cards. I'm like, okay, here. But even I was like in my head, I'm like, oh, nope, that was not gonna work. And as soon as he said it, like I saw him like go like flicker over his face, and he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm sorry I said that. I didn't mean that. I don't know why I said that. And I'm like standing there for a minute, and he's kind of going back and forth with the guy, and the guy's like, he's still interested, but he's like, oh. And then I'm like, just so you know, I'm like, this is gonna eat him up that he even said that. Like, even if had you done it, he still would have felt bad about it, because that's just who he is. He doesn't want too much. He wants enough that like everybody walks away feeling happy. And I think even had that guy done that deal, I think he would have felt bad, because he would have felt like not everybody walked away 100% happy. And Jeremy's the kind of guy that like shit like that will eat at his soul.
Yeah, I feel like it's a cathartic cleanse to come on here in a public forum and just throw it out there. Maybe Hail Mary will give me some Hail Marys or something like that, however that works, and I can make it right. The Hertz market was weird. There was a guy next to us who had a bunch of Hertz and Fields, and he was only buying, not selling them. But he had
he put his dick out on them. He had like really great cards, all these like amazing Hertz and Fields cards in his case, and then people came up. He's like, I'm not selling, but I'm buying. So he literally just bought cards, more football quarterback cards all day, and would not sell any of the cards that he had. It was
so. Anyway, I felt bad, because in my real life, our business is built on, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, where our competitors try to gouge the customer each and every time. And it works. If it's fair, you get repeat business. And so my thought process was, and this is just the way my brain works, was, he looked at it, he left, he came back. We were talking back and forth, like, if it was all cash card. and the way he said it, like a question. It was very subtle, but it was almost like an upwards inflection. Like, would this be enough? Which to me, I received immediately and bent like, there's a little bit more. He's going low. And then that was my initial reaction. So that's why I was like, well, I had like a $200 J-Rod in my hand. I'm like, well, what if we threw this in? Would that be cool? However, if I were to step back and look at the starting point, the exit point, and his offer, I should have never said anything. But it was just in that moment, the way he said it was almost like, okay, he's going to go low. And I should have known better. His offer was probably his best offer, which was a great offer. And so I screwed the pooch on that one.
It was just like one of those things where you get caught up in the heat of the moment because you've been kind of negotiating with him like on and off throughout the day about the card. And I think it was just like, you're just like, if he would have been like, no, you'd have been like, cool. And it was almost like that was his last one. And it didn't seem like it might be because you guys have been going back and forth. So I totally get it. And I don't think like you weren't trying to be a dick. And I never would take it that way because I know you. And this guy's done deals with us before and he knows you. And I don't think he took it that way either.
Yeah.
No, it's just eating up Jeremy.
And he won't let it.
It's a hard L, man. It is a hard L.
And
you know what's going to happen? Now I have to make sure that this is an isolated incident and I don't take a hard L when I negotiate with somebody else and just get totally railroaded because I'm thinking about that. So think about that. I'm already stressed out about the next big deal. So I got to compartmentalize what just happened.
Couldn't you, because you guys know him, you could potentially reach out and see if he wants.
Yeah, here's
he can also reach out if he wants it too.
It's not a closed deal. Yeah.
So Jeremy, you wanted to talk about the difference between the Ludex show and the show you went to today.
So the big show, I got a sense that like, and it's dealer invite. So you think the majority of the dealers there have a little bit more experience. Would that be fair to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
So you see, and what I've learned sometimes is I might have a card that's worth $3,000, but if I can't move it, sometimes it makes sense to either trade down or trade up or trade sideways to get something that is a little more liquid to move. Right. So that seems like a fair, like a fair play, something you would see at that show. What I saw at this show, when I was quickly reminded this morning of why I don't like these shows and why it's the same old, is I routinely heard as kids would walk away, guys would walk away, the group of buddies who are there together making a big deal, how they just totally won that deal. And so there was a lot of
Ludex or the one today.
No, the Ludex was good.
Yeah. So okay,
I'm saying that the show I went to today and why those Moose Lodge or Elks Lodge shows get stuck is because the people there have the mindset is like you have to win every deal. And you have to win by slaughter rule, like Courtney said. Mm-hmm. And it makes me not even want to go to those shows anymore.
No.
It really does. Like, I had deals yesterday where, like, hey, man, if we're breaking even or I'm only making a little, I'm good because I've had this card for 6 months and it hasn't moved. I am happy and glad that somebody has aspirations for this card. And I know that this card I just got. So not every deal is a win, but it could be a step that one or two
a lateral move is fine.
Mm-hmm.
A lateral move is fine, and a lot of people are still stuck. I think what I've noticed that like if I'm going to say like the culmination of all the shows that I've been to lately, Atlanta, local shows, Burbank, is that people are starting to recognize that they're not like the prices of cards, no matter how far they're into these cards, are not going to go back up to where they were. You're not going to be selling base Zions and Jaws for like $800. It's not going to happen anymore. So people are being realistic about the price of their cards. And now you're seeing the change, the shift where things are much more transactional. People are willing to take that like lateral move. They're willing to sell it for less than what they paid for it because they know that they're just not going to get that out of it now. So it makes more sense. And then like you guys had sports card therapists on, he was talking about like, oh, the prices, everything seems cheap. So if you could sell a card that you paid, $2,000 for, and the market has decided that card's only worth $500, but now you could take that $500, even though it's a loss, and buy a card that like 2 years ago was, $2,500, but now you're getting it for $500. it doesn't feel like as much of a loss because both of those cards were valued at the same, 2 years ago, and now they're both valued here. And so it's still a lateral move with the card. It's not, you don't feel like you lost, because if you have a card that was valued in 2020 and you sell it for what is valued in 2023 and you buy a card in 2023 that was valued the same as that card, is it really a loss? Because both people are taking that L on that card, and you're coming to the point where everything's kind of, balancing out. Because if you're holding on to a $2,000 card hoping to sell it, and it's never going to sell for $2,000, but you could buy a card that used to be $2,000 also for $500, just do it. Because that $500 card, now that the market's dropped, it could potentially go back up.
So I found something that I actually did myself, which I'm not very comfortable doing, is when people come up to the table, I make it a point to greet them, shake hands, ask their name. I want them to feel welcome. I want them to feel that, we can have a conversation. I want them to feel that, like, hey, you don't have to worry about misspeaking. Nobody's going to be rude to you. Nobody's going to, it's just cards, man. Like, if it makes sense for both of us, cool. If not, no big deal. I'm sure we'll cross paths again. So today I was walking the show and I recognized, like, I'm not just going to be able to flaunt cash, and it's just not working this way. So there was a guy I like the way he conducted himself. So I said, here's the deal, man. I'm interested in the 3 cards. I wanted the Burrow, the Love, and the St. Brown. It said, like, I'm going to be able to get closer to your number if it's all cash. However, if you're willing to go cash and card, cash and card, I'm going to get closer to the deal. If it's only cash, we're going to have to haggle a little bit. I hope you can appreciate that. And if you don't want to do it, I'm just telling you on the front end, this is where I'm at. I don't want to waste your time. And so just getting out of my comfort zone and being upfront and honest with what I was trying to do, he went into it and he started going, like, and we pieced through the case to put that deal together, which was truly nice. So as uncomfortable it was for me to be like, this is kind of what I want to do, it worked. And now I tried that with a couple other tables where people are like trying to sell me, $1,100 Connor McDavid cards for $2,000 because it might grade, a 9, even though a BGS 9 did like 1,000. You just don't deal with those people.
It's hard, and I think people are still kind of underwater, and we're still kind of climbing out of that mindset. And I feel like the people that are still here are still trying. So I think it's going to take more time before you're going to see 100% of everybody having like reasonable prices again, because there's still a few people that are probably pretty heavily, in debt over their cards. But I do think that the mindset is shifting, because I feel like from like the end of last year into like this year, the difference in seeing transactions, the thing that I keep hearing about Burbank, and I would say the same thing about this show, even the Ludex show that we were just at, is that people don't even want to trade. They're looking at cards and they see a card, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. They don't even want to trade because they're looking at a card that they've been looking at for 2 years that they couldn't afford, and now they can just outright buy it because they can afford to buy it now. And I think that we're seeing that shift because the market has come down. So you're seeing more transactions, you're seeing busier shows, you're seeing people like engaging more, and it is easier to trade when you're not trying to take 20 cards to get to one card, where you could do like 4 or 5 cards for like a big card now. And that's kind of, it makes it more fun, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. This last show, the Ludex, and this weekend has been, I took a step up. I'm just going to say it. And I'm even excited to give like advice to like, as a buyer now at card shows. At first, remember the National, I had no idea what I was doing. This show at Ludex, I had a game plan. I wasn't scared to say this. If you're going to a card show, for people listening, don't be afraid to tell, like what Jeremy said earlier. Don't be afraid to tell them what you're willing to pay. You're not being disrespectful, and that's kind of where I was at. It's more so you're trying to get what you like. You're not trying to get hosed by some of the deals, right?
Or waste people's time.
Yeah. So I was going through each dealer, and I would ask. I talked to every dealer there, and I was I found every Detroit player and everything. I was like, this is the last comp. What would you really do if I did all this? And if they got a number, and I was like, so there's one guy I was going through his, he had boxes, and I was talking to him as I'm going through them because there's like $200 cards in these boxes, no showcases. And he said his friend couldn't go. So he just picked up his stuff and brought it to the show. So there's some treasure in this box, right? I'm picking through, and he's like giving money off on each card. Initially, I would have been like, okay, I accept. I didn't check comps, but he got to a point, and I took like $40 off that price because I kept adding stuff to where I felt comfortable. And I got the deal. I got like probably 15 cards of his and paid something that I was like, wow, I can't believe it. I got that Max Scherzer in that deal where I was like, dang, I can't believe I got this for this price. And you'd be surprised if you're not afraid to disrespect the dealers or waste their time, because you do get the deals that I've been seeing other people get that I'm like, how do people get it? It's because they're friendly, and you just basically tell them what you want to pay. And if they're willing to do it, they'll do it. So I don't know if that's like a good.
No, I think it was incredible. And you did. I feel like the last couple of weeks have been a real ass kicker for you, just from an outsider's perspective, because I truly felt like you were kind of stuck with nothing to do or not sure what action to take. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you've got you've dabbled your toes in another market. You move some cards, and as a result of moving those cards, you might have, like, on that micro lost a little, maybe lost a little bit, but then all of a sudden you had that money, and then you were utilizing that money. And I think you absolutely, from a buying perspective, kicked ass yesterday. And now you've got a volume of cards that are going to move easy. They're at various price points, which say you get like low to mid tier. And when I say low, I mean, let's just say like $15 and under, mid tier, 15 to 100. And then you have a couple of cards there that are like numbered, colored, auto, that are in good shape that could potentially be graded, where you have an additional, opportunity to make money. So they just, from a buying perspective, that's a home run of a show.
Oh yeah, I was pretty pumped about it, and learning from you guys. When I was doing on the dealer side, I was picking kind of traits up of what people would come and talk to us and things that you guys would say. I would say it was a win for me. It'd be a big win if I were able to sell these cards next weekend when we're at the Lansing show. So postpone on that aspect. But I did make connections with some of the dealers. And like I said in the past, like, we have now a pipeline where I could buy their Detroit stuff.
Yeah. So it was a win. You made a connection. You made a network. You bought some cards. You flipped some things that you've been stuck on.
Yep.
And I have to say, I feel like you do a lot better when you're walking the show buying versus being behind the table, because I think sometimes you concede sales that you would do to Jeremy because you view it as like our table, even though like he's in the middle of a deal and he's, we can't buy everything.
Yeah.
So I think that was sort of a change yet.
Yeah.
But I think that was sort of a change for you that like was good.
Oh yeah. Well, and then being like in the past, I was with Jeremy. If we both were buying, I was like following Jeremy, so I didn't really take the time of focusing on, like, I'm looking at what Jeremy's buying, and I'm trying to like do what Jeremy's doing. This show, I'm like, I'm not worried about what Jeremy's doing. I'm doing my own thing, and it actually worked out. And I think not like in a mean way, but we all have our own certain ways. Like, for example, like you said, I'm getting into another space. TCG, I just bought a whole case of some product that, if you follow us, I'm probably going to rip the whole case live on our account. So I'm pretty pumped for that to come in soon.
No, you know what? What you do is you learn from the people around you. You see what works for you, and then you put your own twist on it. And you should be like, fuck Jeremy, I got stuff to do. You came in with a plan. You executed the plan. Hell, Manny put in headphones. Manny didn't want to. Manny put on his Beats by Dre with the one little missing earpiece thing. Put on Celine Dion or whatever the hell he listens to.
Daddy Yankee, Pitbull.
Yeah, Daddy Yankee.
Matt.
Gasolina. Is that Daddy Yankee?
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Matt.
He's like,
I think this is the first episode where Jeremy is like taking L's and Manny's like flying the W, right?
Okay, so two things. First off, there was
kids got Jeremy fucked up, and he's like bad deals. Isn't that Manny usually sweating because of the kids and
yeah.
I don't get like I didn't hit the kid. I'm simply sharing a story with you, and then you tried to white knight for the kid. So I don't know what the hell's the matter with you.
Oh, you're so flustered right now. Calm down.
So anyway, there's two things. Me and Manny are in agreement. There was a fine young gentleman who, as a result of the Too Thicc pod, is going to see Cocaine Bear.
Yep.
You, sir, slide into the DMs. Either email us, leave a YouTube comment, hit us up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter. We got something special for you. We really appreciate it. The amount of random people, and this is not bullshit, the amount of random people are like, hey, I think that you guys are hilarious or funny, or I really enjoy listening to you, is mind-blowing. Because now it's beyond Courtney and her mom listening and Manny's wife showing us respect. There's people besides Hail Mary and Matt who are listening. It boggles my mind that there's other people out there just as twisted in the head as us and that can tolerate this. It's truly, truly humbling and awesome. So for my buddy who's going to go see Cocaine Bear, slide in the DM. We got something special for you.
Yep.
When I was at Burbank, I had people stopping me because I was wearing my Too Thicc t-shirt at Burbank, and they're like, "Oh, I love those guys. You know them?"
Yeah.
I told you I had that one guy trying to like one up me. Like Manny's my boy. I'm like, I'm gonna guess that I'm in a little deeper than you, my friend. But that's cool that you're.
I didn't know how to take this, but we had some people that were like, I love your guys' content. Jeremy brings like the informative stuff, and you're just there bringing in the funny comments. And I'm like, I don't know how to take it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're just there. We like how smart Jeremy is, and you're just there.
Yeah, I'm there taking L's while Jeremy's actually giving.
Well, we have shifted the metaverse with this one.
No, he got the Coby White Lot sold. Made his profit about.
Dude, we actually crushed.
Yeah,
we crushed it that show, and it was like 1,000% because of Jeremy.
And I have one other thing that like I've truly like I've never actually like leaned into it, but now I'm going to lean into it. Is the amount of people who I don't know that come up to me and are like, "Hey, there's a Starbucks over there." I had like a lady just like tell me like, "Hey, I follow you on Twitter." Just like, I have no idea. I've never interacted with her. Super friendly. It's probably listening. She's like, "That much coffee is unhealthy." And I was like, coffee is a superfood, ma'am. Please get the hell out of my face. I've got 4 kids. I'm trying to keep it moving over here.
There you go, Courtney. Look at your first episode of your new podcast. If you want to plug it again, you can. For the people that they should know and should be already following.
So it's been awesome. The second episode's dropping Wednesday. Sarah and I flip-flop back and forth. So I did the first episode. She is the second episode, and then we'll go back and forth that way. I am truly humbled by the amount of people that have actually like messaged me or reached out or said that they loved it or how crazy it was or how cool it was. Sports Card Stallion posted his Bison Daily card and then like said that it was like so cool that somebody else had like talked about it. So for all of the love that we've been getting at Dangerous Games podcast. So me and Sarah, Mrs. Squirts, are doing that, and we like, it's been awesome. It's so much fun.
Courtney, can you promise us that, when your podcast takes off and you're getting millions of subscribers and views, you can still make time for us little guys?
Yeah. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, you'll have to pay me for my time then.
Well,
you're taking all the Fanatics money already. You know what
exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was just over here taking Fanatics. I wish. From your lips to Dad's ears.
Yep. So we got a guest episode dropping later this week. This will be up in the live stream, and it'll be up tomorrow in the video format. Then next weekend, we will be set up at the Avery Shoebox show.
Yep.
We will be doing, I don't know if it's going to be live, but we're going to be recording a pod there. We're going to be interviewing vendors and people walking the show, try to bring you like a sense of what we're seeing at the show. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. And then the following week we'll be at Shipshawana. I think we're gonna do like an impromptu post trade night, or it's usually drinks and ripping wax. So I'm not sure. Yeah, the little Hilton property.
It's gonna be wax. Hopefully, Manny and I will have our Pixar and our Disney cards by then because they got shipped out. We're gonna be ripping wax. We're gonna be having beers, maybe pizza.
You'll be having beers.
Yeah, Jeremy doesn't drink anymore. He's clean and sober. All those years of heavily drinking, he has to quit now.
It's just the 75 hard, man. You make it sound like I'm battling alcohol addiction.
He is. He's struggling with that, so he's not drinking now.
What's up?
I woke up one night and I had just hit Courtney and peed in the closet.
He did. So it was time to just give up. Manny, I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah.
Because this is how you get under his skin. All of the time you're like, oh, I really got under your skin. You just need me to teach you.
Exactly. I need to learn from Mrs. Miyagi.
I'm just hopeful that maybe for the first time in a while we can make a Shipshawana show where Courtney just doesn't vomit everywhere for the family.
No McDonald's in Middlebury or Mayberry or Middleburg or whatever the hell that next door town is. Like I had McDonald's and like I was literally sitting, like we were ripping wax and I'm like, I don't feel good. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, Steven, we both ate burgers from that place and we're both sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to go. I live for the party. I am there all night. I left before everyone. I'm like, I'm going up to bed. I went up and I'm like laying in bed dying. And then Steven, the worst day. So like I'm laying in bed. I'm like, I am so sick. He comes up. He's like, telling me, he's like, I don't feel very good. So he's laying in because we got like a big suite with like 2 rooms, but there was just the one bathroom. So I'm like laying in bed, feeling like I'm dying, and all of a sudden I see Steven just like
hold on. So it's like I stayed up and I took like all these like $3 cards to like $15 cards.
So much work.
I priced them all like this. I organized everything. I came up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
He did so much
and
work.
I laid down and just Steven out of nowhere was like he didn't get a blanket. So he's like using a sheet and like he's not allowed to curse. And just like in the middle of the night, you just hear like, damn it, it's so cold. And like, dude, why don't you grab a blanket? And he's like, I don't want to.
Closet. He didn't want to get up. He didn't feel good. And
so anyway, he gets up and he does like this power march across the room where it's just like, he's usually kind of like mopey and rope-a-dope. It was like a very militant march across the room. And then you just hear like, brrr, brrr. And I was like, okay, so now Courtney's KO'd. He's KO'd. Now here's something. And here's something that I didn't know. Apparently, we never taught Steven how to throw up. So Steven threw up standing upright over and just like leaned his head down. He didn't like crouch.
He like stood from like, and he's tall now. He's as tall as me, so he's just standing over the toilet. And I'm like, we can't go to the show. I'm like, I'm so sick.
No, bullshit. Courtney's like, oh, we can do the show. It'll be fine.
I'm the scavenger.
And I'm like, you guys are a mess. We've got 4 tables. We got the kids' scavenger hunt. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So like, finally, we concede that like, hey, you know what? It's.
Yep.
And if we're sick, it's irresponsible to go spread it.
Well,
what's normally a 3-hour drive home was every minute of 5.5 hours. Taking turns pulling off on the side of the road so Courtney could practice downward dog, have acid reflux issues, and just like dry heave on the side of the road. Then Steven, then her. So we get home, and a day goes by, and I had gone back to Chicago that Monday, went to dinner, and I woke up that Tuesday morning, and I had meetings, and I didn't feel bad. But you wake up and something's just not right. Something didn't feel right. I didn't feel bad. But I'm like, you know what? Cancel all meetings. I'm going home because Courtney said it's coming my way. And she's typically right about these things. I got home and I had 48 hours of hell, man. Lost 82 pounds. The only thing I could eat were like little driplets of water because anything more than that would just come out like a
Jeez. So this is gonna be our first show in a while at Ship Shawana.
Yeah, we missed that
promise-
because they're quarterly.
We promise we won't make it. We won't get sick. This
You're damn right, Evan. You're damn right.
You don't
Look
even know,
forward to seeing
Evan.
you.
You don't even know, Evan. It's gonna be awesome.
yeah. No, I think Evan's indie on Instagram. He bought your Mokoku.
Come on, man.
The green Mokoku, right?
I didn't buy it.
No, he bought it from you.
Oh,
yeah,
he's
right.
Dude. He's always running the story sales.
I know.
He's like, I've got a Gal Sayers, and then he's like, I already sold the Gal Sayers. So.
I know. I wanted, collective indie. Yep. I wanted to get so much like his stuff. I'm always window shopping on his stuff. Like, oh, I want this card so bad. But
hey, I got a bone to pick with him because once in a while he's like, story sale starting 15 minutes, and you come back like a half an hour later, and then it's not there, and I'm like, well, what the hell, man? Same like you. I'm always looking to like.
He blue balled you.
Oh, he had that LeBron. That downtown LeBron that I was trying to get, he didn't want to deal with us, so whatever.
No, we also, I know I want to go back to before this, but we also might have a secret drop episode this week as well. Maybe a TCG type episode. Just want to point that out there. If you're into the TCG world, might be a random drop.
You doing a show by yourself, Manuel, that I'm not aware of?
Nope, not at all. Jeremy wants to do it. Too, so it'll be a guest. There'll be a guest on the TCG episode. So if you're into it, but besides that, is there anything? We're at an hour.
Nope.
Do you want?
No, man, it's beautiful. We extended bidding starts in 11 minutes.
All right.
eBay ended. My Anthony Davis Gold Wave that had been shilled 19 times finally was bought, and paid for. I had a bunch of auctions then, so it's a mix. It's going to be a good night, right, Court?
I finished my book that I was reading, so I'm super excited.
Awesome. Well, that concludes episode 69. Thanks for tuning in. Manny?
And we appreciate you guys. I do appreciate because this is the first show that I witnessed that everyone's like, I love how you bring the laughs and Jeremy brings the informative stuff. So I do appreciate you. Tummy Sweats and Meat Sticks, appreciate you guys so much. I'm loving what I'm doing right now. I love the Reckless family, mom and dad. Thank you guys. And we will talk to you soon. I hope you guys enjoyed your hobby release. Peace. Peace. Peace.